But
And
what do you think long term? I mean, I know we're only 6 months into this or a little bit more, but
Mhm.
where's your head besides, staying on top of all of the research? What else do you think about in
Right.
terms of your
Top of
future?
research, yeah, that's the big one. I do know eventually I want to find some form of work. It's kind of interesting. I've looked at it like when I started out as like, early in college, trying to do the same thing, evaluate what do I want to do long term with my life. It early on, I had that romantic kind of look like, okay, I want to be a musician or I want to be a poet. I want to write something like that because I started out loving that stuff. I was a creative writing major, studying music at the same time. And, I had that classic conversation of with my parents of what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to pay the bills kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in this situation, a little bit different because of I really can't return to certain work fields that I had, planned on maybe doing long term um, or at least using as a kind of a go between to something else down the road. So I think the work that I want to do is I kind of want to get back into those things I was loving at first when I first started school. I want to try to do some form of a music composition. And the real trick is going to be finding the right technical setup that will allow me to do that. And if there's some way that I can basically use a computer and use voice activated technology or, just my little mouth stick here, which allows me to click around, I would love to be able to start writing music again. It won't be the same, obviously, as sitting down at a piano and just, grinding it out. I'll have to kind of make it up in my head or make it up inside of a digital program. But I think that's something that is such a part of my history and it's also part of my positive psychology music is too. That's kind of a personal, this mood elevator that I use it all the time.
Hmm.
And I would love to make that something that I can do on a somewhat regular basis and maybe profit off of. Just because, I mean, obviously the profit part would help just with, this lifestyle being as expensive as it is. Um, but I definitely think because that's something that would help me stay motivated every day to do it because I
Yeah.
love it so much. And
Yeah.
I couldn't go into something kind of half-assed, I guess is the way to say it. That, maybe is a career that, something along the lines of an office type job that I've done before, doing that as a wheelchair bound guy would just be so different. And so much, I guess it's just not as, it'd be tougher to tell myself, okay, let's get up and go in and do it again kind of thing. I think with music or it's same thing along poetry and writing, I loved doing that stuff so much. And it's something that I still studied after just for fun after I
Yeah.
got out of school.
Right.
I want to use some way along those lines, get back into those arts and make that somewhat of a career if I can in
Hmm.
any way.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like the work thing that I look at long term. I guess other things, yeah. I guess it's the weird one. Obviously, I've talked about it with some other family too, and it's a weird one to kind of consider just because of I would just like I said the future is so uncertain. We just don't know what's going to happen to me. But eventually, I very much want to have a family and do as much as I can to be involved with a family that and I guess that's just a tough thing because I'm so unguaranteed to have that as an option, especially as a quadriplegic. You really just don't really have like it's right away. They kind of tell you, all right, the odds are slim. They don't want to get too specific with telling people, probably because it makes sense because it would really drag a lot of folks down if you look at the numbers and see how difficult it is to, at least in the past up till now, make a living maybe as a father or something. Um, in that kind of capacity. So, but I'm really hopeful. It's kind of similar to the hopeful for just my physical functional kind of regaining what I can there. It's in the same way that I'm hopeful that I'll be able to recover and at least like have children of my own or at least be able to be active if I do have if I adopt or something like that down the road. I'd love to be able to be more active in their lifestyles, in their lives, I should say.
Hmm.
Just being there and being able to do maybe if I can just use my arms, that would make a massive difference. If I could just manually wheelchair myself around and be able to hold a child or write something for them or show them something about, anything along the lines that go with parenting, really
Yeah.
stand stuff there. But I would love to be able to make that a part of my life. That's basically all I've ever really wanted to do long term, is just be a good father, basically.
Hmm.
Because I've always looked at myself and like, oh, I was raised so well, but there's just a few things that I missed about, being like, it wasn't even my parents' fault. It was half my own issue of being just being kind of a better person, I guess, or like maybe a little bit more motivated, and therefore maybe more educated and more active in the kind of things in realms that I wanted to be active in. So, kind of I guess that makes a little sense, but,
Yeah, I get that.
right. And, so yeah, I think that's kind of a big one, is hoping to kind of be able to be in a family and do something along those lines down the road. And that's, like I said, a lot of it's the same. I'm hopeful with the science that will be able to help me out with that, hopefully. But again, it's all very hit or miss right now. You just can't really be certain. So
Hmm.
that's a big one long term. Trying to think that, there's not much else
Hmm. What do you,
about what the future, I should say.
yeah.